the conflict.
Miss Celine stood at the front of the class with a large smile on her face. Students, now I have something very interesting to tell you. Next Saturday, people from the Robotics Center at the university are coming to visit our school. We're going to build a robot with them. Marcel felt a rush of excitement. Robots! He loved robots and wondered what type they would make. Would it speak and move? If it moved, would it use legs or wheels? Would it be able to learn? Would it be able to follow commands? Or would it be more like a companion? After science class, Miss Celine walked over to Marcel.
You'll attend the robotics workshop, won't you, Marcel?
We all know that you enjoy science and engineering.
Several students are planning to go. I'll be attending the workshop, too. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, yes, said Marcel. And I particularly love robotics. It's fascinating, don't you think?
I do, and here's a pamphlet from the Center on Robotics.
Marcel held the pamphlet carefully. He felt like it contained all the secrets in the world. Marcel's parents picked him up from school. From there, they drove through the winding traffic to the airport. Marcel's dad was going overseas for a conference, leaving him alone with his mom for a week. The airport car park was a mess of cars. Soon enough, though, they found a parking spot, accompanied Marcel's dad into the airport building, and watched him board the plane with a long line of travelers. "Enjoy the conference," said Marcel. As they watched the plane take off, Marcel wondered at modern technology. Humans had invented ways to swim the sea like fish and fly through the sky like birds. Now there was a whole new generation of technology, and robotics was right at the cutting edge. As they walked back to the car, Marcel said, "Mom, can you give me a ride to school on Saturday?
There's a robotics workshop Miss Celine has organized, and I'd love to go."
"Sure," said his mom. "I can just imagine you becoming an engineer or scientist in a few years. That would make me rather proud."
At home, Marcel examined the pamphlet on robots.
The name robot came from a play called R.U.R. by a Czech writer in the 1920s. But it wasn't until 1948 that the first robot was built. Since then, robots had captured the imaginations of many people. They were commonly featured in science fiction books and films, though often they had different names: androids and automatons, robots and replicants. Some people saw robots simply as complex tools that would help us. Others saw them as frightening machines that might rebel against and destroy us. As he thought about this, Marcel's imagination was set free, and he went on wild flights of fancy. The day before the robotics workshop, Marcel could barely contain himself. Again, Miss Celine talked with him after class.
"Looking forward to tomorrow?"
she said. "I can hardly wait," said Marcel.
"Well, according to the Robotics Center,
We're going to be making a fully autonomous robot that will be able to speak to us, said Miss Celine. They're going to bring in all the parts and explain everything. But that afternoon, Marcel's mom didn't pick him up from school. Instead, his aunt drove him home. There, Marcel found his mom lying on the sofa, her leg in a plaster cast. She'd fallen down the stairs at work and broken her leg. "I'm sorry, Marcel," she said. "Sadly, I won't be able to drive you to the robotics workshop tomorrow." Marcel's heart sank. As Marcel lay in bed that night, he examined the pamphlet again. He read about the ways people had imagined robots. One of the earliest was in a film called Metropolis in the 1920s. In the film, they imagined a female robot. He read about the 3 laws of robotics, invented by a science fiction writer called Isaac Asimov. The 3 laws were just ideas, but they were clever ones that Asimov used for many of his stories. However, it would require very developed artificial intelligence to actually make the 3 laws work. That might happen one day. Marcel closed the pamphlet. He couldn't read it anymore. He was too sad at having to miss the workshop. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep.
The 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws.
In the morning, Marcel helped his mom with lots of things. She found it very hard to move, so he set the table for breakfast and cleaned up. After that, he moped around the house rather aimlessly. The truth was, he was devastated at having to miss the robotics workshop. Marcel was surprised when the doorbell rang. As he opened the door, he saw Miss Celine standing there, smiling. "Well, are you ready?" she asked. "Don't just stand there. Say goodbye to your mom. We've got to get going." Marcel turned to his mom, who said, "I called her yesterday. She said she'd take you to the workshop." "Don't you want to come?" said Miss Celine, teasing him. Marcel scurried to fetch his bag. He was shaking with excitement when he raced through the door. The robotics workshop was amazing. Under the supervision of the scientists from the Robotics Center, the students put a robot together. They attached legs and arms to the body, inserted the central processing unit, a little computer, into its chest, and slipped batteries into its back. By the time they were finished, the robot stood about 2 feet tall, a glittering metallic creature, all angles and chrome. "Let's turn it on," said Miss Celine. A button on the robot was pressed. Lights flashed in its eyes. It hummed with power. Then the robot spoke.
"Thanks for making me."
A shiver ran down Marcel's back. It was almost as if the robot were alive. Marcel knew now the power of technology. He knew the thrill and excitement of science. He knew now that he wanted to work on robots for the rest of his life. They really did speak to him.
Discuss.
Describe how the characters in the story support Marcel. Give quotes to support your ideas.